Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Batman Brave and the Bold Season 2 Episode 11, Chill of the Night. This is one of the best Batman adaptations I have ever seen. And I wish that this episode could have been turned into an animated movie, a live action movie, something similar around that. Now, technically Batman Begins had a little bit of this element, but not to the full extent. Paul Dini is the one who wrote this episode, but of course, the showrunner is James Tucker. Batman Brave and the Bold was a very unique Batman series, harping back to the old silver and golden age of comics with its retro designs and stuff like that. Something James Tucker is very known for loving and everything. And so, the costume of Batman is very old school. He's bulky, he wears the blue on gray, very similar to that of the Adam West series and stuff. With this episode, there are so many former Batman actors and actresses that appear in this. Oh, but sadly, three of them have died and stuff. You have Kevin Conroy, who is the voice of Batman. You have Adam West, who played Batman. And you have Richard Mall, who was the voice of Two-Face in Batman the Animated Series, and that of Lex Moxon in this episode. May they all rest in peace. And of course, you have Mark Hamill playing the Spectre, and he was the Joker in Batman the Animated Series. You have Julie Newmar, who was Catwoman in the Adam West show. And you have Jennifer Hale as she's done some stuff in DC. And I forget somebody else. I can't think of his name right now. The voice of this Joker in this episode. I forget his name. But anyway. And actually, this is the last television series that Julie Newmar would do. But the last time she did a movie was a few years later when they did the animated Batman and Two-Face, which was supposed to be in continuity of the Adam West Batman series because Two-Face never showed up in that. I like the first animated series they did based on the Adam West Batman series. But that Two-Face one just didn't hit it for me. Now, Batman Brave and the Bold, Batman was voiced by Diedrich Bader. I still can't believe it. It's the dude from American Housewife. He was in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Will's uncle through marriage. He appeared in one episode of Star Trek Next Generation as a security officer and stuff. And so he does a very good job as Batman. And I really do love the old classic styles of how they used to look in the comics and stuff. This was probably the darkest Batman episode for this series. So this series is very bright, very humorous, a little satire here and there. Basically, it's Batman always teaming up with a member of another hero or the Justice League, something like that. I think this was probably the second or maybe third episode of this series I've ever seen. The first one was when the three sidekicks decided to team up and everything. And so they kind of do the reverse on this to where because normally the episode will open up with a teaser, and sometimes it'll be a completely different hero by himself sometimes or herself. And then you'll have Batman teaming with somebody, right? But it does the opposite. This time it's Batman teaming with Zatanna to take on Abracadabra. And in the teaser, his outfit is like it always is, the bright blue and everything, right? But then when you get to the main plot, it's just solo Batman. And in some scenes, we actually see a shadow cast over his costume, making him look like the classic black on gray costume. This episode, like I said before, is very dark. It's Batman about to cross his line, his no killing rule, because he has now found the man who murdered his parents. And you all know how he feels about that. While this is going on, Spectre and the Phantom Stranger are like, they're having like a contest. Will Batman cross over and murder the man who killed his parents, or will he remain a side of justice? Will he go continue the vengeance route or justice and stuff? So it's a bet on which they wager. And this one Phantom Stranger really wants to win at. Now, Kevin Conroy voices Phantom Stranger, and Mark Hamill versus the Spectre. I like the Spectre. I like that animated movie he was in. I hated him in the Arrowverse, and I didn't like Green Arrow becoming the new Spectre. It's just the Spectre was never cool in live action. Maybe because it was the Arrowverse. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It was around the time the Arrowverse just started to suck. Because it used to be good back in the day. And not only is this episode dark just because it's Batman about to cross his line and he's more shaded to look black, but people actually die in this episode, which is very rare for like a cartoon. And so basically, we get to see Batman do what he always does in the comics and in the cartoons, but never live action. He's disguised as somebody else. This is neat. I wish they would do that for live action, but they never do. They kind of did it a little in the Dark Knight trilogy and Batman Begins, just a tad bit, but not really to this extreme. I don't know why they don't do that. It's an element that has lacked all the live action series and stuff. And so he's pretending to be a pastor and he goes to visit that of Lex Moxon. Now, Lex Moxon is from the comics. He's from the Silver and the Golden Age. Depends on who's writing and stuff, he's inadvertently responsible for the murder of Batman's parents. He has never been seen in live action. He's only been in animation twice. And I wish they would like bring him into live action because, this is a different take on Batman origin to where it's just not like a random act of violence by Joe Chill. He was actually hired to murder the Waynes. And so this is actually based on a comic, but it's just tweaked here and there. So basically, he's on his deathbed, and Batman, as the pastor, wants him to confess to his sins before he dies. So he confesses to a bunch of comedic stuff, but then he finally gets to it about how he hired the Waynes to be murdered. But he felt bad about little Bruce because, he said he's not a monster. He didn't want the mother to die, and he left that boy without parents. And more importantly, without a mother. And all he says before he dies is the word chill. Now, I'll get into the comments a little bit later. So basically, Batman, he knows the name Chill, but he doesn't know who that is. He doesn't have much to go on. And then Phantom Stranger and that of the Spectre visit him. And so he doesn't want to hear what Phantom Stranger has to hear. He's only listening to the Spectre. And so Spectre takes him back in time about 10 years before the parents were murdered. And it's a costume party. And Thomas Wayne is dressed as like a bat. A gray suit, kind of blackish blue, like wings and a mask. And Batman realizes that, hey, I must have seen this image in the back of my head because my dad had it as a costume. And we see what happened. We see Batman's able to interact with the people in the past, right? And so in comes Moxon, and Batman and his dad defeat him. You know what I'm saying? It's a really cool thing. And it's really cool to see Batman let his guard down when he's around his parents. He just hugged Martha and everything. And for that moment, Batman became Bruce Wayne again. I love those moments, you know? And so when Moxon escapes, you know, he shows what Spectre shows what happens after that, you know. He gets like, Moxon gets arrested and he's in jail. Joe Chill was there and he messed everything up. And so he tells Joe, you know, I'm going to get you when I get out. But Joe's all like, look, man, I'll just kill the Waynes for you and everything. And Moxon's all like, all right, fine, whatever. Just make it look like an accident. Showing that he did intend for little Bruce and Martha to die as he lied on his deathbed and stuff. And so now Batman has a name and he wants, like, you know, Spectre to send him back to the Batcave. And while he's on like the computer and everything, he finds out what Joe Chill is up to. It just keeps getting more and more darker than that. So basically, this version of Joe Chill, actually, let me get into the comics now. So basically, it pans out slightly the way it does in the cartoon. Basically, 10 years before the Waynes die, they're at a party, a costume party, and Moxon wants Thomas to take a slug out his shoulder, but he refuses to, and he gets arrested. So he hires Joe Chill to, like, you know, take out the Waynes, which he does, but he orders to leave little Bruce alone. When Batman gets older and everything, Moxon has like a blimp company or something like that, and he basically makes him confess as to like what happened and everything. I'm so glad Paul Dini changed that and everything. But anyway, so it turns out Joe Moxon does, like, you know, he auction off weapons. He has some type of laser gun, and all the Batman notorious villains are there. Penguin, Joker, Poison Ivy, what's his name, Mr. Freeze, and Solomon Grundy, and a couple of like hench people and stuff like that. And so as he's auctioning it off, Batman just like busts through and sneaks in, right? And I love the way Batman sneaks in. He's in, like, you know, cloaked in like the shadows, and he just like talking very ominously to that of Joe Chill. Joe Chill takes his gun out and fire, and all you see is like Batman finally lit up, dodging like the bullets and everything. And Batman's just like pissed at him, and I mean he's angry and stuff. And he legit tells him, like, you know, why he's after him, because of the murder of the Waynes. And Joe doesn't understand what that has to do with him. So Batman, for the first time in this series, takes his mask off. And he's a combination of the old school comics Bruce Wayne and that of like Batman the animated series, with a really angular, like jaw like rectangle face and stuff. But he is just fierce. That he's legit is about to kill this man and everything. Like, he's just had enough. And it's that one thing that Batman, you know, he's known for not doing, killing. Well, that's just the early comics, of course. And, oh, by the way, we also get to see Batman's very first costume. The really slim one with the flaring ears and the purple gloves and stuff, and the flashback. Anyway. So both Phantom Stranger and Spectre is talking to him. Phantom Stranger is telling him, you know, you don't want to go down this path, while Spectre is egging him on. And he's legit about to do it, but then he decides not to. Joe Chill runs out, tells the villains that, yo, I created Batman by mistake. They don't like that, and they start attacking him. So Batman now has to save the man who murdered his parents. Could you imagine having to do some crap like that? So Batman fights off all the villains and everything, a really good action scene. But then Joker gets the laser gun and fires it at Batman, only for Batman to block it. And this is what's interesting, right? So they're struggling with the laser gun, him and Joker. And Batman arches it up to where it blasts the roof. The rubble's coming down, everybody gets out, but Moxon falls on the when debris hits him and everything. And as Joker gets out, like, Batman looks at him and he's all like, it's funny. I created you, and these, like, villains that don't like you and everything took me out. And, karma is like a pain in the butt. But here's the thing. Did Batman actually kill him and everything? Because remember, him and Joker struggled with the laser rifle. But Batman's the one who arched it up to where it hit the ceiling, which caused, it to cave in on top of, like, Chill and everything. So he puts his dad's suit costume in like a case and said the case is now closed. Cause like he's been seeing like Joe Chill's face, the younger version of him, in his eyes, in his mind, every time he closes his eyes. I love that line. I wish they would say something like that in live action. So Spectre and Phantom Stranger are talking, Phantom Stranger one and everything. And he tells Spectre, it's kind of interesting how Chill just happened to be at the right spot at the wrong time when the debris caved in on him. And Phantom Stranger's all like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's interesting that he had a helping hand in getting vengeance for Batman. Even he didn't really want Batman to go down that path because they know Batman would probably be, well, what Zack Snyder created him as, like a murderer and everything who kills his villains and stuff. And like I said before, this is such a good like episode. I wish it could have been adapted to live action. They could have kept out the Spectre and the Phantom Stranger stuff, but just kept it more detective, like Batman, getting one clue to Joe Chill to another clue till he figures out who it is. Well, happy Batman Day. Or actually, Batman Day was a couple of like minutes ago. I'm uploading this a little late. I just wanted to point out this is Bruce Timm's like favorite like Batman episode, he said. And because it's just so on point, Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.